Welcome to the Tangent Podcast on this lovely Tuesday evening. It is great to be with y'all.
Oh, yes it is.
Are things like hot and sweaty over at your house, Jack?
I just got back from the gym. Is that what you're referring to, the tank?
That's yes.
Yeah, I'm
Referring
just
to
too
the
lazy
tank.
to change. So, that's usually how my nights go. It's just sitting all sweaty and being tired and lazy.
That's
You're sweaty from being tired and lazy?
Tired and lazy because I'm sweaty.
I'm saying that's pretty much my nights without going to the gym.
It's a good time.
Well, we do have a very special guest on the pod tonight. My wonderful cousin Dez. He also is a fellow podcaster and awesome musician. So, Dez, welcome to the podcast. If you want to introduce yourself, go right ahead.
Hey, I'm Des Troy, everybody. I'm from Circle Pit Radio, the greatest podcast network on the planet, from right here in the heavy music underground of Salt Lake City, Utah. We just, make all kinds of great, mostly hilarious podcasts. You can learn about the underground scene or the history of horror movies, or just listen to us be drunk and banter. It's not for kids also, just yet. But look it up, circlepitradio.com. It's all of our stuff. And my band is Disengaged. We're a death metal band. And Disengaged everywhere. Check it out.
Nice.
Their band is legit. I will say that. Death metal, usually not my thing, but they're very talented. Very good.
Des, I'm curious. What do you play? Guitar, drums? What do you do?
Give him a preview.
Oh my gosh!
That's
Okay. All right. I thought I was possessed for a moment. I got scared. That caught me off guard. I'm not gonna lie.
Paranormal podcast just got very real.
That was awesome.
It just got real paranormal.
Okay, now answer me this.
Thank
do you
you.
ever get I don't know, after you do that for like an hour, do you just like lose your voice, or is that just like easy for you?
If you do it correctly, you don't lose your voice anymore. But I have been on the road and will be drinking too much, and I'll get away from my technique, and then I lose my voice and I can't play the next show.
Oh.
So
Crazy.
what is the technique with that? Because I can scream like but that's about it. Like that's the extent of my ability to do any form of screaming.
It's like it's a different part of your throat than you're thinking. Like you're yelling, "I'm pissed!" Voice is different than your because it's like
That's so cool.
one. I do those at talking volume, those screams, and it's not like a strain on my voice because it's not huge amounts of air I'm trying to blow through. There's
Gotcha.
a lot there, but it's just about where you're shooting the voice, I guess.
Has anyone ever contacted you to do like a Call of Duty Zombies sound effects at all?
No, but if those people are listening, you can. My phone number is 801-577. I'm just kidding. But my email is radionetwork@gmail.com.
Nice. Well, it's good to have you on. It's been a while since we've talked to you, so it's nice to have you here.
Oh yeah, and I love all this kind of stuff. So any chance I can get the podcast and do it with fam, that's dope.
Get your website now. Ooh, I like it.
Nice. Does it look like it was made by a high school student?
I mean, I work in IT and I've built my own websites before, so a little bit. But I would say if you didn't know, it looks real good.
Yeah, that's right. Cool, because I made it and I do not know what I'm doing.
Hey, it looks great.
Thank you, squarespace.com.
I like this. I'm gonna put this on the screen for everyone else to see, but it's like looks like an album cover, Wrecked. Wrecked podcast. I don't know. It's got like Jack Skellington type art, and then like a Simpsons type art, and then everything type art. It looks sweet.
What are the other two on the bottom? So you're
Depending upon what version you're looking at, it's either Metalocalypse or King of the Hill, and
okay.
then the last one is Teen Titans style.
Ah, nice.
Nice. Classic.
Are those all the members of
Yeah.
your crew? I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's everybody on Wrecked Podcast. That's probably our second biggest one next to Assault City, but that one's just an all-over comedy podcast.
Wrecked is good. I would highly recommend it. I've been listening to it, and it is a hoot. Again, not for kids.
So quite vulgar. Yes. There you go. But I like that you said album cover, because we do try to make most of our podcasts covers based off of famous album covers.
The That Bites cover, like the tattoos. I can like see like the NES controller and the Triforce and all the dice, like D5 up to D20 or whatever. It's a good detail. Very good detail.
That one is super cool because it's made by one of the podcasters who's on there. Their name is Gray. If you want to check out their art, Corvid with a K on everything. Check out all their art. They do some really great stuff. And that one's based off a Blink-182 album cover.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. The Enema of the State cover. Nice.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Gray knows what they're doing.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah. Was that the guy you told me to reach out to if we wanted something designed?
No, I've got another guy, but you can always reach out to Gray because Gray does great work, obviously.
Right.
Gray is great.
Gray
Well,
is great.
If we do get to the point of wanting to splurge on some graphic design, we'll reach out to you.
Killer.
Cool. Well, should we get into our beverage for the day?
Let's get into our beverage. Oh, and if you're watching the video and wondering why Dez isn't on video, his internet is having a small issue and isn't able to at this time. But rest assured, you can't anyway, because if you were even to look at him, your eyes would just melt out of pure beauty. So it's
out of pure protection.
This is for your protection, yes.
Yeah.
Though, unfortunately for the conspiracy later, I did make a tinfoil hat that is going sorely unused.
Oh, gosh dang it.
You might just have to turn your video on for a minute just for that.
Just a moment.
That's legit. I have an empty bag of Dots pretzels that I could throw on my head down here, or never mind.
I've got a plastic bag that I can throw over my head, but I mean,
got him. All right, what drink are we drinking today?
We are drinking Monster Reserve white pineapple flavor. If you remember on the last one, we tried the watermelon, and it was, I think we gave it like a 6.5 out of 10.
I got a 6, maybe a 5.5. Except
So,
this Chungus liked it.
Des, did you try that one? This Chungus, is that what you said?
Yep.
I wear the name with pride.
No, Ryan was the Chungus.
Watermelon? Oh.
I thought it was delicious. I gave it I think I gave it a 7 or a 7.5. I thought it was really good.
That's right. That's right. You're a watermelon guy, though.
Pineapple is terrible, so I am not looking forward to this.
Whoa! Hold up. You all hated the watermelon except for Ryan. That one was good.
I didn't hate it. I gave it a 6.
I didn't dislike it, but I didn't like it either. I drank the whole thing, but I'm never gonna buy it again.
See, I don't mind pineapple. Like, have you guys tried the white gummy bear flavored rain?
Yeah, that one's good.
Yeah.
That's true. You got me there.
That's pineapple flavor. But I don't like pineapple unless it's grilled. So if this tastes like grilled pineapple, I think I'll really like it.
If it tastes funny in here, I'm gonna be upset.
Now, I do have that drink in my fridge, but I'm not going to drink it because this morning I had a Monster, and then at lunch we went to House of Pop where I got a night shift nurse. Freaking delicious.
It is delicious, for sure.
Which has another Monster in it, and I have freaking had way too much caffeine today.
That's fair. That's fair.
Boo.
I purposely avoid pop and soda and everything all Tuesdays, so
That's so. Yeah, me
this.
too. Well, let's crack
it smells
this
like
bad boy
pineapple.
open. What did you expect?
That's much better than I was expecting.
I actually like this a lot. It's quite tasty.
That's actually way better than I was expecting.
I like this way better than the watermelon one.
Oh, yeah, same. It's weird because I actually like watermelon and I don't like pineapple.
So there's a monster that's like gold on the outside. That's a sugarless kind of.
Oh yeah, it's the
pineapple
ultra pineapple. I think is what it's called. Or
I don't love that one.
So this one's better than that.
Yeah, the ultra gold is what it's called.
Yeah, ultra gold. That's right.
This one's way better, I think. Because like pineapple
This
already.
reminds me of those little Mexican sodas.
Oh, the jarritos.
Sí, jarritos.
I love those. It's pronounced Geratos.
The pineapple one of those.
Geratos.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you got me of those Geratos? My Magikarp evolved into a Geratos.
Nice.
That's good. I like this guy.
Well, while we're on the Pokemon subject, what's everyone's favorite Pokemon? Any
All
gen,
time?
any gen, but I really only know first gen, so mine will be first gen.
So my favorite one is actually an Articuno because of the story behind it. That I had a friend that had a holographic Articuno, and so I'm talking to my friend like, "Okay, man, what do I got to do to get this Articuno?" And he looks at my pantry and he's like, "Well, let's see what's in the pantry." And I'm like, "All right, no problem here." So I'm like, okay, look, we got some chunky Campbell soup, New England clam chowder, and he's like, oh, that's good stuff. And I'll give you 3 of them. And he's like, okay, it's a deal.
You traded soup for this card?
Soup. Like, this is the classic case in the Bible of the guy selling his birthright for soup. Same thing.
You still have the card?
Hold up. An Articuno, that's worth way more than 3 cans of soup. That's 6 tops.
Heck yeah. Plus another, like, I don't know, throw in some bread on the side. Like, it's real good.
You still have the card, Ryan?
No, I actually feel like I gave all of those to you, Des. Does that ring a bell?
Yes.
You still have them?
Possibly. I think I don't know. I had a quick Pokemon resurgence in playing the game, and then I got those, and now I don't know where any of my Pokemon anything is.
If you find them, look out for that Articuno. It's worth a can of soup.
At least 1 or 2.
That's 3 soups of an Articuno.
If you're ever in tough times, Dallas, you better keep that card as a bartering chip.
It's not a legendary bird. It's a legendary meat.
I don't know if I have a favorite.
So Brian's is Articuno. Mine is probably either Scyther, because he's just awesome.
Scyther is awesome.
Or what's his name? I just lost his name. Aerodactyl.
I got 2. I got Charmander because he's a dinosaur on fire. That's and
what
then
more do you need?
Rhyhorn, because Rhyhorn was the first Pokemon, and I love rhinos. So
was he really the first they designed?
Yeah, he's the first ever designed Pokemon, which is why in the game, like, there's so many statues of him, and like the little icon for certain types of Pokemon is the Rhyhorn icon.
Interesting.
I'm a big fan of Lickitung.
Lickitung, huh?
Lickitung's a good one. Just because...
Bit of a pervert, this guy.
No, let's see. I got a couple that I really like. I like Doug Trio.
You're
bringing it up, aren't you?
I'm bringing it up. You gotta see this. Des, I don't know if you've ever seen this before.
Send it in the chat.
Oh yeah, I'll post it in the Let me
Is it
let me
three
throw
little
it in the
men
Discord
underground
chat.
hugging?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, that's the one.
Of course, I've seen it.
I need to 3D print that. So is that Doug Trio your favorite or the normal Doug Trio?
Ooh, you know it's this one. Look how glistening and ripped they are.
And bulging.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It reminds me of Ricardo from the memes.
Oh yeah, dude.
You guys know who Ricardo is?
Oh, you know I know who Ricardo is.
I just posted that in the chat.
Like Montalban?
What's Montalban?
He's like a Ricardo's like he was a meme for being like a stripper guy, I think.
Dude, this guy is totally Doug Trio.
It looks very similar.
There's like a meme of him, like a video of him like dancing, and yeah,
it's so good.
It's funny.
And well, now that
yeah, he's legit.
All right, let's move on a little bit.
Well, I think we've gone off on a tangent.
Oh, Reginald, you do make me chuckle so.
Here's another question for you. What's your fancy golfer name now that it's golf season? Mine is Arthur Wellington Cornwall.
Wow.
Pembroke Willibottom.
Pembroke Willibottom.
Just thought of that, by the way.
I love it.
Randy Butternubs.
Butternubs, huh? Well, isn't that from something? It's is that?
I think it's
from Adventure.
Yeah, I think it's Adventure Time. He goes, it's like, I'm Randy Butternubs, the best left-handed birdie slayer on this side of the Mississippi.
Dude, I'll still say.
Does that mean he slays left-handed birds?
No, birdie as in badminton shuttlecock birdie.
Whoa, what?
This is a podcast for all ages, Jack. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Keep your shuttlecocks out of it.
Oh, no.
I thought you were gonna say Gee Buttersnaps.
Gee Buttersnaps, aka the heater.
Gus TT Showbiz. Extra T's for extra talent.
Darren P. Terrence.
What?
Darren P. Terrence.
Are you looking these up?
No, I'm just using my imagination, dude.
Darren Terrence. Ryan, what's your golfer name?
So I used to have a name that I used and then found out it was actually a real name. It was, for a while I was using Brett Kavanaugh. It's like such a freaking rich name, and then he's a Supreme Court justice. Yeah, can't use that anymore.
Yeah, that sounds pretty terrible.
Wasn't he involved in some kind of scandal or something?
It depends on who you ask.
Okay.
If he's in government of some sort, then yes.
Yep, there you go.
That's true.
So I'm thinking of maybe switching over to Jethro Montgomery.
Ooh.
I'll join you as Edwin Langley.
Edwin Langley. Okay. We've got Edwin Langley, Jethro.
And I'll be Joey Spaghetti Fingers.
Ooh.
No one takes money from Joey Spaghetti Fingers out on the links.
Well, I think we've gone off on a couple tangents. If you're still with us, thank you.
Space news.
So, this is pretty cool.
Shout out to...
I feel like...
Sorry,
Darren.
I hurt myself right there.
You all right?
Yeah, nope, yeah, well, we're good. I think my ear just started ringing for some reason. That was weird. We're good, though. Shout out to Darren.
That hurt you?
Yeah, your ear just starts ringing like crazy for like 4 seconds straight. Have you never had that happen?
No. Maybe you should
Probably
go to
get
a
my
doctor.
ears checked out, huh?
I went the other day.
Jack was at the working out, and he's already expended his energy. To put it towards his brain is now asking much.
He was at the working out. Come on, guys.
The working out. Well, shout out to our friend Darren for the space news. He sent this to us today. So, the headline, it's official. NASA confirms we found 5,000 worlds outside of the solar system. And so basically, it also starts like this. In January 1992, 2 cosmic objects forever changed our galaxy. For the first time, we had concrete evidence of extrasolar planets or exoplanets orbiting an alien star, 2 rocky worlds whirling around a star 2,300 light years away. So basically, in 1992, we discovered 2 exoplanets that could be potentially habitable, orbiting an alien star that's really far away. And now, over 30 years later, they've discovered 5,005 exoplanets that could potentially be habitable that are orbiting stars as well. So pretty cool. I guess it increases the chances of us finding potential life out there. So yeah.
Or being destroyed by it.
Yeah. I didn't want to go there, but I guess so. I will say
I'm here to put on a fresh perspective. You're welcome.
I still hold that the night I saw the UFO was the scariest night of my life. If a real
scariest,
dude, are you kidding me? That was the one time in my life where aliens were the most real to me. Like, what's the scariest?
2 hours earlier, he goes, "Aliens, take me on, I dare you." Then he's hopped up on a monster, and then he's driving at I think it's 12:30 a.m.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it's just the perfect storm of
it. It was freaky because yeah, thinking of aliens, it's not scary, but when it's actually a possibility of holy crap, there's aliens right there. It's freaking scary.
Now, okay, but that was even scarier than your whole. I don't know if you've gone over it on the podcast before, but your experience when you were a teenager in your house and the door and everything.
Oh, yeah, he has gone over that.
I have, yeah. That's the episode titled "Austin is Crazy."
Oh, yeah, I think that's the one.
Yep.
So that wasn't a scarier night.
Well, that was pretty scary, but ghosts, I don't know, ghosts you can't see, you don't really know what it is. If aliens came and you see aliens and they're physical and they're right there, that's way scarier to me than a ghost. Even just the prospect of it, because a ghost, yeah, I see it, but I'm still here on the planet. An alien could take me away millions of light years away, and I could die in outer space. Probe my butthole. My rectum would be, or vaporize me, a la Mars Attacks.
Yeah,
the world's they're blending up people and spraying it over everything.
Yeah, see,
that scared aliens, the crap out of me.
Aliens to me way scarier than ghosts, honestly. Real aliens,
perfectly respectable beings that come in and they want to break bread with you or whatever they eat.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ryan. When you first see an alien being that you've never seen before and you know they're from a different planet, are you really gonna be in the right mindset to be are you here to break bread with me or are you here to probe my butthole?
I don't know. Because
bread me over said bread.
If like a delicious jelly.
Yeah, I'd be a great jam or a marmalade.
Preserves, jelly.
Preserves, yeah.
Preserves are my choice, straight up.
But think about it. Think about it. Honestly, in that moment, seeing an alien, wouldn't that be the freakiest thing to you?
You didn't see an alien though.
But the prospect was there. I had literally just thrown out a dare to the aliens to get me. Like,
I'm sorry. I shouldn't laugh.
if you had that happen to you, I bet you would have freaked out too. Like,
I am personally way more freaked out by like ghosts or poltergeists. Like that would freak the crap out of me.
here's the thing: those are
I'm
still
pretty sure I
scary.
could take a ghost.
How would you take the ghost? I'm curious.
Well, several methods. Number one, I would start with like reasoning. I would be like, listen, ghost, you tell me what you need and I'll help you out. You know, you want me to give you some food? You want me to leave this place forever?
I could be your teammate here. You don't need to fight me. Like, I'm willing to do whatever it is you want.
Yeah, I'm trying to help. Number two, I have an extensive background with, like the religious practices of getting a ghost out. Mormon on my mom's side, Catholic on my dad's side. All power of the Christ compels you him away. And, I've seen people do the prayers for the Melchizedek priesthood. I got this. And then, you know what else I could do? Little voodoo head. I've got a fake shrunken head around here. If not, that'll scare him.
All right, so let me get this straight. Step 1, reason with the ghost. Step 2, if that doesn't work and the ghost is not in a reasonable mood, then you will attempt to cast it out. Step 3 is to banish him. Okay. Step 3 is to throw a shrunken head at said ghost. Am I hearing that correctly?
While screaming like a girl in the fetal position.
There it is.
Because at that point, if the exorcism or whatever didn't work, the banishing, whatever religion you're in, I'm screwed. So throwing the head and crying is just my last attempt.
I'm skipping straight to step 3, if I'm being serious.
Throw the head and cry.
Throw a head and cry, yep.
Or put on a wig and pretend I'm not me.
Oh, he just left. I think he's the next house over, actually.
You just missed him. I do appreciate that your first step would be to reason with it, though, and have an intelligent conversation.
Most things can be solved non-violently.
Cool. Well,
counter?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, hold on, I'm getting a lot of things popping up, so let me close Ubisoft really quick.
Dang, Ubisoft. Always wanting to update and
That's friends
keep
getting online.
updating.
Alright, let's see. Where did I put it? Here it is. Y'all ready for this one titled, What Did I Witness?
Sure.
Let's see what we got here. Alright.
Why is Austin dying?
So I hear Jack talking it in the background. I just hear Elmo's world. Jack, you went. I don't know why that was so funny. Okay, sorry, continue.
Okay. Again titled, What Did I Witness? And it goes as follows. My family owned property in western Pennsylvania, close to the point where Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Maryland all connect. Very.
Sorry.
What?
You said West Virginia. Sorry. Go ahead.
Very, very rural area in the Allegheny Mountains. Allegheny Mountains? I don't know.
Allegheny, I think.
Allegheny, got it. The property was large, with a cabin set back in the woods behind a large pasture. My cousins and I would play in the pastures all the way into the night, and when the hay was high, we would hide from our parents there because we thought it was funny, kids being kids. One night, in mid to late summer, my two cousins and I were doing the exact things mentioned above. For anyone who has lived in a wide open rural area, a clear sky and a full moon at night can provide a lot of nocturnal visibility. This night happened to be one of those. We were hiding in the hay about 300 yards from the house when we all heard heavy rustling. The area is known for its bears, so I kneeled up over the hay to see what was around me. About 50 feet from me, something bipedal began to stand up. At first, I thought it was another person, but this thing was tall. The hay was at least 3.5 feet high, and it towered over it, much larger than a human. Its shoulders were very broad, but the thing was strangely skinny. Its head proportionate to its shoulders. I was way too far away to see any facial details. The scariest part about it all is after it stood up to its full height, it turned and ran away, but not like anything I have ever seen. It basically glided as it ran and covered 300 to 400 yards of pasture in about 5 seconds. The whole energy of this thing just screamed predator. This image has been burned into my brain for almost 20 years now, and the memory is still as clear as when it happened. As I sit here writing this, I still get chills and goosebumps just thinking about it. I haven't spoken to my cousins in many years, but they all saw it too. Obviously, our parents and basically anyone I told didn't believe me, but we definitely witnessed something. Am I crazy, or do you have an idea of what we saw?
First of all, not crazy. Second of all, that is weird. So again, nighttime, bales of hay, something way bigger than the hay. They said it was super skinny and its head was proportionate to its body, right?
It towered over, its shoulders were very broad, but the body was strangely skinny, its head proportionate to its shoulders.
Okay.
Moose.
What was that?
It's a big moose.
Big
A big moose.
That stands on its hind legs. That's pretty freaky.
It can run 400 yards in 5 seconds.
That's a crazy big moose.
Some moose might be big enough to make you think that it's something standing on 2 legs. If you can't see the back end of the moose at night, there's some big old freaking moose. And then you see the horns.
Yeah,
maybe you think those are the broad shoulders. I don't know.
Yeah, don't you know, up in Canada, they come up real big up in them parts.
It's saying that moose are 4.5 to 6.9 feet. They said much taller than a human. That's not much taller than a human.
All right. Well, unless moose can leap.
Mr. Naysayer.
I'm just trying to offer an explanation, okay? You don't gotta crap all over my idea here.
One of them fancy jumping mice. I mean, moose.
Mice.
Fancy jumping mice.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah, that's weird, but here's the thing. I don't think they're crazy.
I mean, if your cousin saw it too, then I mean, no, you're not crazy. But,
I've seen a moose.
We've seen lots of moose.
Oh, wrong cousin. Sorry, my bad.
let's see. All right. Well, thank you for the encounter. It's creepy.
Shall we get into the
whatever that is.
cryptids? We should do. I've been saying this for a while. I want to do a show where we pit cryptids against each other and see which one of them would win.
That is a great
Chupacabra
idea.
versus Jersey Devil.
How do we determine though? What's the scoring system?
I get
do we just get together and vote?
Ryan voices another, and we rap battle.
Rap battle.
I say so. We got to match like similar cryptids together in terms of like either like abilities or size or features, and then we just like pit them up against each other and we debate like which ones would win.
I like that.
And we discuss each one of them in depth, and then we take a vote, see which one of them would win.
Do it.
I like that.
The
That's a good idea.
black-eyed children versus the men in black.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
I feel like the Men in Black would win very easily. They don't have permission to do anything, so what are the kids gonna do?
but they also lumber around like they don't know what's going on all the time. So at least the kids can move freely and not see how ripe for debate this is.
But the black-eyed children need to obtain permission to like do anything, right? So would the men in black be aware enough to not allow the black-eyed children? Because I would assume that if the black-eyed children are aliens or whatever, the men in black may be keen to what they're doing.
But they're from the government, and the government doesn't work very effectively. So
That's true.
I don't know.
That's true. That's true.
Are they from the government, or are they interdimensional extraterrestrial beings, which is also theorized as what the men in black are? There's a difference. Also, are we assuming that they're just meeting out in the world like it's Freddy versus Jason and their universes just collide, or are we saying, hey, both of you come to this arena? Because
it's
two
a cage
people in
match.
an arena.
Cage
the
match.
Kid wins.
Cage match.
Both get a fork.
No prison rules. It's got to be standard cage match rules.
So everyone gets a chair.
Everyone gets a chair. Give him the chair. Yeah. So cage match. We'll pit them up against each other. What was I just gonna say? I don't know.
I want to be a guest on this episode. Whatever you guys do, I dibs it.
We'll let you know. I think we could do multiple because there's tons of cryptids out there, and there are cryptids from all 50 states. So we could do, along with American urban legends, we could also do American urban cryptids.
Is that like a cryptid that just wears baggy pants and listens to hip hop?
Yes.
Sasquatch and Fubu.
All right, I think we should get into the main event for this podcast.
All right, so we've brought Des on today to help us discuss this topic that I have heard a lot about, done a little bit of research on, but never really dived too deeply into it. You may have seen in popular culture things that have been influenced by this topic, such as the hit show Stranger Things. So today we are going to be talking about Project MK Ultra.
That was in Stranger Things?
Stranger Things was inspired by Project MK Ultra. In a way.
So you're telling me a Demogorgon's face opening up was inspired by chemtrails?
No. The experimentation of unwilling people in a lab is more the route it was going, not necessarily the Demogorgon.
Okay, I'm just gonna sit back and listen then. Let's
the
hear.
whole 11 from Stranger Things was kind of inspired by MK Ultra. How they try and do mind control, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So, Des, why don't you give us a background on what MK Ultra is, and then we'll get into some discussion on the topic.
Okay, so we are all aware of our government agencies. We love them. We know them. We trust them. They're fantastic. Now, back in the day when the CIA was first being formed, they came up with this super awesome project. I believe it was originally Project Artichoke for reasons I don't know. I think one of the guys just really liked artichokes. But the idea was to figure out how to brainwash people, how to pretty much make a super soldier. Like, did anyone here see Zoolander?
Yes.
It's been a while, but yes.
No.
Okay, so how they're... Exactly. They put on that relax song, and it's a trigger, and it makes them go kill the prime minister or whatever. That's pretty much what they were trying to do. Or the Manchurian Candidate is a super popular reference that came from the MK Ultra experiments. But
sleeper cell agents.
The interesting thing about it. Yes, exactly. The most interesting part of it, for me at least, is they experimented a lot and tortured random people with acid, LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide, my friends. It's drugs.
You know, I'll say that whichever guy was first coming up with Project Bluebird, which came before Project Artichoke and Artichoke, clearly they fired the guy and they really stepped up their game with a new guy that called the project Project MK Ultra.
Yeah, for real. That's like the dopest name. Let's be real.
There's some cool
up.
project names out there, yeah. But Project
so
MK
they were
Ultra
like
is legit.
trying to wipe people's minds, and they they had a lot of volunteers and stuff. A lot of them from the military that basically didn't know what they were signing up for, but they did things like poison an entire city in California and give a bunch of kidnapped people a bunch of LSD and assault them. It was ridiculous, and I don't know. I don't imagine, but I don't know if you guys have any experience with LSD and other such illicit drugs. Not something you want to be attacked on. I'll tell you that much.
I believe it.
So Des, I would assume from what you've just said that you have had experience with LSD. Is that correct?
If what you're
Allegedly.
asking is my third eye open to the universe and its secrets? Yes, sir.
All right.
I have experimented with chemicals before, a lot, and and I can tell you, like, there is something to experimenting with acid specifically, like for these purposes. I get it, but there is no way really to wipe and then rewire a brain. And if you're gonna do it, the way is not 100% not acid, man. Because all acid's gonna make you want to do is like sing songs with your brother and realize that we are the trees, brother. And maybe make some cool rock and roll.
So I have a buddy that did acid one time and went on a super trip and apparently talked to Sasquatch and went on an adventure and then woke up like half naked in the middle of a field. So that's the only acid trip experience that I've heard firsthand, but I wanted to hear your thoughts on like what acid was like. So thank you for sharing. Appreciate that.
Oh, listen, kids, I have just scratched the surface. Okay. Number one, there can be times where you're like end up in the middle of a field naked. Hadn't happened to me, but I've heard of it. But there's also times when I just decide to sit down and watch the latest Disney film because the colors make me feel happy. Like it ranges. Also, an incredible thing that they did with this is created the entire counterculture that the government hated. All these people they would experiment on with LSD would go out and create the art and change the world in ways like, had the government not released LSD into the populace, which they did, they gave it to all the hippies on Haight-Ashbury. You know about that? That was them. That was the government creating their own counterculture that would later defeat them. If we didn't have LSD, a band like the Stooges never would have happened. They were 100% fueled and changed by LSD. And without them, no punk rock. No punk rock, no Western culture as we know it, kids. Like, the government gave us acid, and thusly giving us hippies, changing. Thanks, government.
So here's a question I have. Why do you guys think the government used LSD? Because like at the time, because this is going on like in the 50s and 60s, right?
I believe it started in 53.
Yeah, from what I'm seeing, it was from 53 and then ended supposedly in 73. So it was 20 years.
So at the time, I would assume that the LSD was fairly new. So like, I don't know if they knew the effects, but like, why were they using LSD specifically to try mind control? Like, did they create LSD for Project MK Ultra, or did LSD exist and then they used it in Project MK Ultra? Does that make sense? What I'm asking?
Yeah. So from what I understand, they tried every drug with MK Ultra to try and figure out how to wipe the mind or create these slaves or super soldiers or whatever. But LSD was pretty much brand new at the time. I think it came about to be like a year before Project MK Ultra did. And so the government, our government, bought up all of it, all of the possible LSD that was in the world from this one scientist that figured out how to make it. Don't remember his name, but they bought up all the acid, which is how they released it into our populace, and it was just from there. But it was just because they hadn't had any luck with all the other ones. They tried mescaline, I think, is another one. It's a psychedelic that's closely related, but it's more like what's that called? Opium. I think it's opium. I can't remember. But anyway, they basically were just trying every drug they could. They tried heroin. They tried weed was one of the first things they tried. And they were like, well, it doesn't really make people want to talk or be programmed. It just makes people a little lazier and laugh a lot.
All right. So they'd basically exhausted their options, and LSD was kind of like the last thing. Okay.
And it was like, I don't even know if it was like the last thing, but I know that they did quite an extensive amount with it because there's just files upon files and witnesses, and we have the entire counterculture as evidence of what they did.
Gotcha. Okay. So from my understanding, Project MK Ultra was started to try and basically compete with the Soviets, because there were rumors after like Korean War time that the Soviets and the and even like the Chinese were using these mind control techniques on prisoners that they'd captured, like prisoners of war from the US. So they were using these mind control techniques to create what you'd call sleeper agents, or whatever term you want to use. I like sleeper cell agents. Yeah, Manchurian candidates. By the way, Jack and I, band name, Sleeper Cell. I think it's great.
Cell. Dibs. No one can take it.
Dibs band name. Yep. So that's my understanding, is that it was started as this kind of competition with the Soviets, which at this time the Cold War began. It began in the 50s, after the Korean War. So this time, like, Cold War starting, there's like heavy competition with the Soviets, and so the US needs to be on that cutting edge of also using mind control techniques so that they can keep up with the Soviets.
Well, so I actually watched a documentary on this like 3 days ago. That was an interview with Hal Puthoff, Puthoff, who was actually one of some of the officials that had started a lot of the psychic research in the government. And he said that this was in a response because the Russians and Chinese had been doing this for years and years before the United States had. And there was a big culture in the U.S. Say that again?
Oh, I just said they thought.
Oh. Well, anywho. But I thought it was really interesting that there's this big culture in the US, very Christian culture, essentially saying like all this stuff is devil worship, and so because of that, supposedly that's what kept the US from getting into researching this stuff a lot earlier.
That makes sense.
Okay. So they would, when they started this project, originally there were like volunteers, right? That they would have volunteer from, like you said, like the military or whatever it was, that would sign up to do these experiments. But pretty soon they were like running out of volunteers, right? So they just started kidnapping people, or they'd take like homeless people off the street and just drug them with LSD and test the effects. Am I correct in saying that?
Oh yeah. Also, a lot of these scientists and people who came up with a lot of these ideas were scientists that we got from Nazi Germany, thanks to Operation Paperclip, where we take these Nazi scientists that were doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and we wipe their slate clean if they'll give us all their science. So, like, how did we get to the moon? Nazi scientists that we wiped his slate clean. Why did we get all these experiments through MK Ultra and all kinds of stupid stuff? Nazi scientists.
Gotcha. And the Nazis, if I understand correctly, they were trying mind control experiments as early as World War II back in concentration camps as well. So I think that's where probably the Soviets got the well, I don't know if the Soviets were actually trying it, but this might be where the United States had the inkling that the Soviets and the Chinese were doing it, because as early as World War II, the Germans were doing it in concentration camps. So I think they were probably using different techniques. Like, I know they would use sarin gas to torture people and do things with that. But the idea of mind control goes back not only to World War II, but even like quite a ways back in some like native cultures as well. So I think around this time, the idea of it was very prevalent, that they were just getting anyone they could really to kidnap or volunteer to come and do these experiments, which I don't know like what they would say to these homeless people to get them to try and just come and do LSD, or if they actually work it. Maybe it was that easy. I don't know. But like an unknown drug that's still really new. I don't know. Kind of weird.
Something that is like really sick that Nazis did is they had some weird preoccupation for twins. And so they would take twins and torture one of them and see if the other one could feel it and was connected in any way.
Oh, jeez.
That's right.
So we were saying, I don't know, you know what they would have to do to get these homeless people to try those drugs? I'm pretty sure if you walked up to a homeless man and said, "Hey, do you want to see music?" He'd say, "Uh-huh." Then you give him the acid.
Probably right. You're probably right.
You want to taste what red tastes like? He's like,
So again, to recap, CIA wants to do mind control. So they're using LSD and drugging people and trying to basically wipe their brains clean so that they can then brainwash them or control what they put into their minds at that point.
Which sounds nuts, but really, if you look into everything they did with MK Ultra, like these files are all public. It's all real, and this is 100% actually happened facts. But we only have so much of the information of what happened, because as soon as it came out and became public, a bunch of the files were burned because they were ordered to be burned. So if what we got is this bad, what happened in those burned files, man? Like, that's what's awful. And it's the ultimate conspiracy, because it leaves such an open end because of what we know was so terrible. What could be so bad? And that's why when people are like, yeah, dude, JFK Jr. is coming back from the dead and he's running for president alongside the guy from The Apprentice, doesn't sound so crazy after you tell everybody that the government gave us all a bunch of acid in the 60s and created punk rock.
Des, do you know any additional information about how Charles Manson, the famous murderer, is connected to MK Ultra?
I know a bit. So his early record, like with getting arrested and stuff, he gets arrested and let go a lot. And inexplicably, there is a bunch of acid in the places he's living a lot. So, I mean, people are connecting the dots and thinking that the government pumped him full of a bunch of free acid to drive those hippies. And we know that the LSD they were taking before they went out and did the Sharon Tate LaBianca murders was government acid. It was Orange Dream, I believe it's called. And that is like acid today is maybe 100th as strong as it was back then. Jeez. And so they pretty much just put these drugs out into all these hippies and we're like, let's see what they do. So yeah, and what happened was something super gruesome and blood.
I mean, it would make sense to me that for how far that the government is willing to push this experiment. Obviously, if they're testing every kind of drug that's out there, most likely people are dying during these experiments, and so there's no limit to how far that they're willing to go to in this experiment. So it's not. It's to me, it's not surprising if he was a part of it, and he is committing these murders, that maybe the government is looking at this as like, oh, we're actually getting close to how we can program someone's mind to go into that murder state so that we can create these sleeper cell soldiers or whoever in other countries.
That's, I agree. Like, it's kind of, it makes it more believable that all you need really is a cult of personality like Charles Manson. You know, he was just, I say this, it's a negative, but it sounds like a positive. He was a very charismatic dude, much like, say, a Hitler was, where he could get you to do stuff and say things maybe you shouldn't. And, like, interestingly enough, Charles Manson never committed a single murder, but
That's crazy
he's the one who incited all the violence. He's the one who pushed it and made it all happen, but he never actually killed anybody. I think the blood is just as much on our government's hands. If the acid they were all doing came from the government, it's just as much on their hands as it is on Charlie's. Luckily, Charlie's dead, so screw him.
Right. Well, I don't doubt. Yeah, I've heard a lot of connections between Manson and MK Ultra, so that is an interesting kind of side note on MK Ultra. Ryan, did you have any other thoughts on that? You kind of brought it up. I didn't know if you wanted to riff on it more. Or...
Well, I don't know, because this particularly, in my opinion, kind of seems to be a similar pattern. If some of the conspiracy things around Jeffrey Epstein are true. So supposedly what Jeffrey Epstein is that he's rumored to be higher up in the intelligence community. So was the government using Jeffrey Epstein in order to get at other wealthy and powerful people in the world? And is that why Jeffrey Epstein got off the hook so many times? Is that very similar to Charles Manson, where Charles Manson is essentially working as a test subject or potentially working under a government handler and then just keeps getting let off the hook? So in general, to me, what is so creepy about MK Ultra, not even creepy doesn't even come close. What is so freaking scary is that, in my opinion, MK Ultra shows that the government has no limitations. Because under what circumstances would a project like this be approved by anyone? And so the government can pretty much...
the roof.
Yeah, yeah, gotta... But I mean, the whole thing is just, in my opinion, probably put more distrust for me in the government than anything else that I'd ever learned about.
Well, you're welcome. Now you get to live with this terrifying information I've had for years. Welcome to the Crazy Club. It's super fun.
It's just the whole, if this is what they are telling us, what aren't they telling us?
Exactly, and now the My Pillow guy is gonna be Secretary of State.
Hello?
Is that true?
What are you talking about?
No, he's, for some reason, I think he's good friends with the former president, so I just want it to be fun.
But just think how well we'll sleep. Just think about that.
Those pillows, I hear, are mighty
Didn't he go to prison for like forever for some scandal or something?
I think it was for selling coke.
He did do cocaine before he was selling. Actually, during the beginning part of selling pillows, but yeah,
he was selling pillows, huh?
Don't mind that white stuff coming off of those. That's just pillow dust. It's pillow dust. Every pillow comes with pillow dust.
Pillow dust, yeah.
Pillow dust.
I got some pillow dust on my face. One second.
So I wanted to talk about Dr. Frank Olson. Did you guys research much about Dr. Frank Olson on this?
What? Why don't you tell us? I believe his sisters were in Full House. So
the show?
Yeah. That is a Olsen twins joke. Not fact. Carry on, Austin. That landed like an aircraft carrying Buddy Holly.
Oh. Okay, so Dr. Frank Olson. Dallas, do you know much about Frank Olson?
Yeah, I know a little bit, but what are you going to go off on?
So this was just a very interesting, if MK Ultra already wasn't shady enough, this is another wrench thrown into the story. So Dr. Sidney Olson. So basically, well, not Sidney Olson. Sorry, it's Dr. Sidney Gottlieb. He was kind of the founder and head of MK Ultra. He was a CIA scientist. Sidney Gottlieb, yes. And so in I believe it was 1953, he had a meeting with like all these CIA doctors and scientists, and Sidney Gottlieb covertly drugged them all with LSD. So they didn't know they were taking it, but he drugged them all with LSD. And then he told them like a few minutes after they had been drugged with it that he drugged them all with LSD. And so this guy, Frank Olson, he had worked at Fort Detrick in Maryland, which was like a top secret base where they were researching biological warfare stuff. So he was like really deep into military research and things like that. And he had originally gone to New York to see a psychiatrist in the company of a CIA escort. And so he was so some new information came to light about his death. So his death, he fell out of a hotel window. So right after he was drugged with the LSD, he went home, and 2 days later he told his wife that he had made this grave mistake, and his wife didn't really know what he was talking about. But so he had been drugged with LSD, and I think he felt the effects of the LSD and like knew what the Project MK Ultra actually was at that point, since he was kind of a test subject. And so he was having regrets, and he called his wife and he said he'd made this terrible mistake. And so then he was staying in a hotel with another guy who was in the CIA. And that night at like 2 a.m., he just fell out of his hotel window onto the sidewalk and died. And so some new evidence came out in 1975. So the Sun never believed that it was ruled a suicide. Because the hotel room that he was in, like when the cop showed up, the guy that he was with, who was another military guy, he was just like sitting on the toilet in the bathroom, chilling. And the curtains were closed, and like the room was still dark and everything. And so that initially was a little bit weird. And so the Sun, they ruled it a suicide, but the Sun, like something never sat right with him, because he didn't think his dad would ever commit suicide or anything like that. So he started researching it, and in 1975, he had his father exhumed. And they found that they had the body exhumed. They took another look at it, and they found that there was a hematoma on his left temple. And so that the guy who did the autopsy or whatever, he said that hematoma, in his opinion, was caused before the guy hit the ground, because they didn't find any like facial disfigurations that were consistent with the fall. But they found this hematoma, which means that he was hit by something blunt on the head before he fell. So in the hotel room, and then he was dumped out the window. So what they think is like he was, regretting his involvement in the project after he'd been drugged himself and was going to leak information or something. So they had to kill him and get rid of him. And so the common consensus now is that he was murdered. And I don't think they ever ruled it a murder because they couldn't actually prove like who murdered him or exactly what happened. So they couldn't change the ruling of suicide. But that's pretty much the consensus now, is that he was silenced due to him wanting to come out with all this information about MK Ultra.
Do you remember a couple years ago in 2020, in May, it was like beginning part of May, between April and May, so exactly 2 years ago, essentially. Well, might give or take a month.
Exactly, though.
Exactly. But during a 2-week period, 3 Russian scientists had fallen out of windows during a 2-week period.
Wait, when was this again? This was fairly recently, right?
So this particular this article is coming from CNN and is dated May 7th, 2020. And saying 3 frontline healthcare workers have mysteriously fallen out of hospital windows in Russia over the past 2 weeks. So there you go. Anytime scientists are falling out of windows, probably not suicide.
So interestingly enough, I had read that there were some CIA documents, or like a CIA booklet or document that was released, or some kind of recorded conversation, something that was released where it was said CIA operatives were saying that the ideal murder method would be to dump somebody out of a hotel window, because with all of the damage that's done when they hit the ground, it's hard to really first of all, you're not like shooting them, so there's no other type of wound than like a fall wound. In this case, he got whacked on the head, but the thought is like, oh, he's going to fall out of a building. It's going to be really hard to tell that he was whacked on the head before he hit the ground and destroyed his head.
Blunt force looks like blunt force.
Right. So there were these rumors that there was a CIA document or conversation or something that the CIA had said that their ideal murder method of a target was to dump him out a hotel window. So pretty fishy. But I think this guy was about to come out, and obviously the public didn't know that this was going on. And so I think that they had to silence him because he was going to reveal what they were doing. So just an interesting side note. I thought that was kind of crazy that they killed the guy.
Also, I think with the guy freaking out because they drugged him, again, most likely not, but I don't know if y'all have ever been like dosed against your will. It is terrifying because all of a sudden the walls are melting, or the floor becomes gelatin. Or
when you're expecting that, it's a little different, but yeah, when you're just like, okay, exactly. Why is this happening?
Especially back then when the drugs are way stronger, and back then they were like, oh, you want a little zip? Have a Coca-Cola. Hey. But then you're on the strongest acid in the world all of a sudden, and you're speaking to Winnie the Pooh, who doesn't exist yet. Like, I would also be a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
So sorry. Interesting side note on Frank Olson. So for 22 years, the family, like the story they had been told is that he jumped, and then 2 days later, the casket was delivered to the family. So the story they were told was suicide, obviously, and the family was heavily discouraged from viewing the body because they said that he had suffered so many different disfiguring injuries and like facial injuries that they didn't want them to see him like that. So the government like stopped him from seeing the body, and then they buried him 2 days later. So that was all the family knew for 22 years, is that he committed suicide. The son obviously didn't really believe it. I don't know how the rest of the family felt. But so then again, 1975, there was a 2-paragraph account of an army scientist who had been unwittingly given LSD and died from a fall from a hotel window. So this guy, this information came out. So this information came out around the time that, so Gerald Ford was president, and there was some rumors going around that the CIA was doing a lot of illegal activity within the U.S. So I think this is probably around the time that the CIA got involved with like the coke trade and everything that the CIA is involved with. So when this information came out, like within 10 days of this information getting released, of the report of this guy falling from the hotel room. So this wasn't public information. So this information gets released like 22 years later, and the president calls the family into the Oval Office, and he gives them like a personal apology on behalf of the U.S. for Olson's wrongful death. And then within a year, the family received $750,000 settlement. But they had to sign a release saying like they were going to release any claims against the U.S. government. So basically, the U.S. government acknowledged that it was a wrongful death and paid out $750,000 in exchange for the family signing away any like legal action against the U.S. So if that doesn't say that they were in some shady crap, I don't know what does. Like,
yeah, seriously,
the government saying, "Hey, we'll pay you off and like don't sue us. We'll make it worth your while."
As much as I think that yes, there's all this shady crap like I was talking about before, I do think that there's still something to be said that it's just way easier to just pay people off, even if there is nothing that like really happened, just to avoid any potential stuff. Like people get paid off. Exactly. People get paid off all the time. So I don't think it's necessarily like the nail in the coffin to say that this is the government proof that the government did something. What I do think is proof is the documents, but then also the government did take responsibility for his death at a minimum.
Very fishy.
So this went on until 1973, when, oddly enough, Sidney Gottlieb, the guy who kind of headed all this, retired from the CIA, claiming that his work had no positive effect. So he just ended up retiring. That is some heavy dedication to continue drugging people for 22 years. Like imagine, so after 22 years, he says his work had no positive effect. Wouldn't you realize that after like a couple of months or 1 year?
Maybe
like,
a week?
why give it 22 years if your work is not going anywhere? Like, at that point, what are you in it for?
Gotta try.
After all that time,
drugs.
he just kind of shrugged and went, whoopsie.
Yeah. Like, no legal action was brought against anyone, as far as I know, that was involved in MK Ultra, which is pretty absurd to me. But then again, if the CIA is involved, obviously, like, the White House probably knows about it and is involved to some extent. So legal action is going to be hard to come by.
And they just like, when it did come out to be public and a lot of the documents were, it kills me inside to not know what any of that is. Like, there is so much more of this horrible, horrible thing that happened to a lot of people that we don't even know about. Like, are bananas even real?
Are birds real?
Don't you say that. Birds aren't real.
No.
Is Is Idaho real?
Oh my god, dude. Okay, so with all these crazy experiments and things they did, an offshoot, and I believe this happened in Project Artichoke, specifically. I could be wrong. Don't get mad. They tried to make this cat that was a spy. They sewed a microphone and a recorder into a cat, but they didn't like figure out how to train it or anything. So they were like, "All right, let's go and spy on these people over here." And they send the cat out there. I did the German voice because it's a Nazi scientist, obviously. And they're like, "Go spy on these people over here. We need to learn about them for the glory of our new country, America." And they go over there, and the cat's like, "Meow, meow," right? And then no training, cat just walks off. They can't control it. Walks out in the street, boom, hit by a truck.
Jeez.
One might say it's like
hundreds of
herding
thousands
cats.
of tax dollars. Exactly.
Oh goodness. I saw that there was a, speaking of useless tax dollars, there was a project at like MIT or some prestigious university where they were trying, it was basically getting mice to go through a maze and find a piece of cheese, that they spent like over $2 million on a study of seeing like which cheese the mice were able to find the fastest. And there like over $2 million of government funded money was spent on this project of helping mice find the cheese. Like, what?
That's
here's
that sounds fun.
here's my I think that the government should post how their tax dollars are being spent. I think that those records should be public.
How would we know whether or not the mice still likes the cheese? If we do not know they still likes the cheese.
We have to know if they like the cheese, Austin. We have to know. This is important information.
Okay.
Vital to national security.
I'm sorry. If you want a quick answer, get my daughter right now. She's really into cheese. Give her all the cheeses. She'll tell you which one she likes and which one she doesn't. Right now, it's Munster that she loves. So Munster is good. She calls it monster cheese. So there's that.
Pepper Jack, dude. Pepper Jack is the best cheese.
Pepper Jack is good. I do like me some Havarti with dill in it. It is delicious.
Say my favorite is a smoked Gouda. Smoked Gouda is great.
Gouda is very good.
Oh yeah, it's
Gouda is very good.
What's your favorite cheese, Ryan?
Mine is it's like a horseradish cheddar. It's super good.
Ooh.
Weird.
Head? That stuff's great.
Yeah.
As I do miss working at Dan's because of all the delicious meats and cheeses there.
Well, I mean, you have to try them all in order to know what they taste like to tell the customer.
Right. That was the best part of the job. Trying cheese.
You have to.
Meat.
I miss it too. I did a lot of necessary testing.
You made the company money by eating the cheese.
My testing of cheeses and deli meats was more effective than the government's 22 years of like kidnapping and hurting people with acid.
Agreed.
Really, thanks for punk.
They just needed to offer them cheese, and they would have told them all the secrets.
So
I would have. If you're like, here's some Gouda, I'd be like, all right, sir. Here's what Putin said.
Do you guys know about Operation Midnight Climax that's involved with MK Ultra?
I believe that happens every Tuesday night when my girlfriend comes over. Hey.
So isn't that? Oh, is that the one where they had a bunch of prostitutes that they were bringing into a club and then drugging everyone that was in the club?
So basically, they had a duplex that they set up in San Francisco. They had like a safe house, and they would have prostitutes get these Johns that. So this is how they got a lot of the recruits for Project MK Ultra, is they would hire these prostitutes to lure men into this like really upscale house or building, and then the prostitutes would drug them with LSD unwittingly. So they weren't consenting to it. So they would give them a big dose of LSD, and then they would sometimes also use other like psychotropics and stuff, like other drugs as well. They were looking for the truth serum, as they say. And so to pair with drugs, they use these prostitutes that would then have sexual relations with the men. And in this building, the CIA had set up. Yes, they had. They had set up
also
one. What?
One thing about that, the copulation end of it. Let me tell you, wow! If you're on a head full of acid, that is, whew, it's like copulating with an alien with 6 heads. Wow! It is. It is both terrifying, arousing, interesting, intriguing, befuddling, if you will, at times. It's a mind blower. Tell you what.
Sounds like my honeymoon.
Oh, midnight climax.
But basically, they were pairing sex with drugs to try and get more information out of the people. So they would hire these prostitutes to try and extract
rock and roll.
Exactly, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So they were basically using these prostitutes to try and extract information. But the gross part is that they would set up one-way mirrors in the houses, and they would watch all of this go down. So CIA agents were watching all of this go down as these prostitutes are doing whatever they do to try and extract this information from all these Johns. And this went on for quite a while. So just another side thing of Project MK Ultra involving prostitutes in it all. So.
The thing you do not understand is that it is for science. It must be for science.
Or is this? Are we doing accents tonight?
And get on top of him for science. Yes, take off your pants. This is for science. You will not understand until you have copulations with the alien. Here's some cheese.
And some cheese.
The alien's name is Reginald.
And I am Reginald.
But do not call him Reggie. He does not appreciate it.
So, any other thoughts? Any other thoughts with Project MK Ultra?
I think we've pretty well covered it.
Pretty well beat that dead horse. Yeah.
If anyone comes at you with like a handful of cheese and a prostitute, say yes. Whatever their question might be.
It's definitely not the government trying to get information from you.
And then stay away from windows.
No. It also could just be Dez trying to figure out a party.
Some cheese and some LSD. Sounds like a party. Ryan, do you remember that? Do you remember that comedian that talks about the new drug on the street called cheese? And basically, cheese, the drug, is just heroin mixed with other stuff. And so his whole bit is like, so I heard about this new drug named cheese, and it's heroin mixed with cough syrup, but I'm pretty sure heroin is doing the heavy lifting there. Like, why don't we just call it heroin?
Well, I mean, yeah, because all the cough syrup's going to do is take away your sore throat.
And you get a little groggy afterward, but
from personal experience, I can tell you the cough syrup does not heal a broken arm. And
is your arm broken?
Yeah, is your arm still broken, Dallas? I'd say it did a pretty good job.
No, because when I got home from my dad's house, my mom took me to a doctor.
And what did they give you?
You can't prove that it didn't work.
A cast.
I'm pretty sure the cough syrup was doing the heavy lifting.
Everyone knows cough syrup is the heroin of arms being broken.
It's true.
Why don't you break your arm again, take some cough syrup, let us know how it goes.
Let us know.
Take some cough syrup, take some heroin, call me in the morning.
Heroin. Oh, man. Well, this was fun. I enjoyed this topic. And here's the thing. If the government was going to this extent to extract... Who knows what... like what kind of information were they trying to get? Because like in this whole midnight climax, the purpose was to try and extract information from people. But look how much of a reach the government has towards any information they want today. Like they have everything on us, on everybody. Oh, yeah. They've got everything on everybody. Search histories, addresses, names. Like I wonder what the government would have done to get all that information. Like obviously they were going to great lengths to do it back then. And look how readily available that information is today. So that kind of freaks me out. Like,
so you're saying that Midnight Climax never stopped?
Midnight Climax never stopped.
If you're with me, it doesn't have to. I can tell you the extent they would go to is that they will set up many networks of information and then market a device to everyone that they're going to want in their pocket on them at all times to register that information directly into a global database known as a phone.
Oh, I thought you were going to say cheese.
Known as the Beast.
No. That is the extent that the government is willing to go to. They have got us. They got you. They don't need to give you acid anymore because now kids are just like, wow, I wonder what acid will do. And then they film themselves on their phone for 6 hours talking to the wall about what paint tastes like and feels like.
So acid.
They don't need to do the experiment. Yeah, they don't need to do the experiments anymore because we're just doing them on ourselves and then we put it on Tickety Talk.
Tickety Talk.
Tickety Talk. Beat that boy with the bat. Ah! And then I turn out all sexy.
You guys seen that King of the Hill? The King of the Hill, where is it Dale? Where he's talking about like, he's like, by now, your name and address and phone number are logged into every laptop and desktop and cell phone and computer that make up this interglobal network, otherwise known as the Beast.
The Beast.
So the Beast.
Yes. Pocket sand.
All right. Well,
this was fun. Let us know what you guys think on MK Ultra.
I feel learned.
Thanks again, Des, for joining us. It's been a pleasure.
It's good to have some fresh meat on here. Of course.
Thanks for having me, and please go check out CirclePitRadio.com. I really appreciate it. We got some good shows. Some of them are educational. Most of them are not.
But comedic. So highly recommend.
Yeah. If you're looking to laugh, we're that network for you. We got you.
There you go.
Well, sweet. Let us know what you guys want to hear next time, and we love y'all.
Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
See ya. Peace. Hail.